Hey, this is Raul Ramirez of the Catch Wrestling Alliance, where we help you to elevate your grappling, and then together we keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much for checking us out, watching the video, watching the live stream, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch. We're there, and also those of you who are listening to the podcast or the audio version, like basically wherever you get your podcasts, we're pretty much there, I think. Let us know if there's some place that you get your podcast and it's not there, then we'll try to make sure that it gets up there. So try to make it easy for people to check it out. So first things first, was just a few days before Christmas. I'm in Los Angeles, and actually a lot of people are like out of work. I mean, like not necessarily out of work where they don't have a job, but like they're not like they're on vacation. A lot of people are on vacation right now. A lot less people driving around. A lot less stuff going on. So you might be home. Oh, actually, well, there's like a big storm going on right across the country. So if you're at home, not able to leave your house because you're just like snowed in, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, it doesn't get too cold where you're at. It seems like it's going to be like extremely cold in most of the country, right? So hopefully everyone's all right. But I want to kind of talk about a few things. Oh yeah, one more thing. So in January, so right now since this is vacation time, we don't have our catch wrestling classes at UCLA right now. We have to wait until January, but we're gonna start up again really soon, right near the beginning of the month. So I think the second week we start again. So we'll be back in action soon enough. But we still have our MMA or our catch wrestling class at Fight Science MMA at the MMA studio. The studio is still open, so if you want to come train, feel free to come train. It's in Mid City, so in Los Angeles, kind of in the middle of the city. It's called Mid City, so we're in that area. Um, so let's go ahead and check out the main thing that I want to kind of talk about. So over the weekend, there was a really cool grappling match, um, and it it ended up where it seems as though like later on the Gordon Ryan ended up getting his foot broken. He ended up still winning the match though. So, but that's kind of what I want to talk about also, where um, like when do you or like when should you tap? Because you kind of like there's like a mix of things going on where it's like, do you want to not tap and then see if you can end up pulling out a win, or do you want something broken? So a lot of times it seems like in nogi, a lot of people are okay getting like a lot of their ankle tendons like damaged, and potentially even their foot having their foot broken. Um, because it is or it's considered like easier to recover from than a lot of the knee damage, so that can come from like heel hooks and whatnot. So a lot of times these different ankle locks or even toe holds, they are not taken as seriously, or someone will try to power through or kind of take the damage and see if they can't get out and see if they can secure a win in some other way. And actually, this is apparently like what Gordon Ryan ended up doing. And I think we'll go ahead and show it. Hopefully, UFC doesn't take it down because this isn't the official um, footage. This is like the footage that was circulating on the internet, which wasn't any of the camera angles that UFC was filming at. I think it was someone's cell phone. So let's go ahead and check it out. I'll kind of talk through what's going on. But basically, at first, it is a 50-50 position, and Nicky Rod, he ends up opening up Gordon Ryan's 50-50 or his leg position, and he's able to secure a toe hold. So in this one, hopefully you can hear it, but you should be able to hear like the foot break. Let's check it out. All right, so there's a 50-50 position. Gordon Ryan actually kind of opens up his leg position there. Uh, Nicky Rod pulls it out to the side. He's still in a lot of danger here. I think in a second. Well, basically, what he should do is what he will do next, right? So he's already see he's protected his foot now by covering it with the other one, and it's there. So he's able to get recovery. And it almost looks like he knows that something happened, and it kind of has like a grimace on his face. People have stopped that video and they show, or even like the referee has like a look on his face like that looked terrible, and he probably heard the sound of it breaking, and then I guess supposedly in the press conference later, it was admitted that he did get his foot broken, but was ultimately able to win because of the overtime rules and stuff. They were using the Eddie Bravo invitational overtime stuff where you either have to like not get submitted, or if you get some. So anyway, it's a time limit thing or a submission thing. So it's kind of like a sudden death thing where I don't really want to explain it, but there's no need to. But ultimately, Ryan was able to win even though his foot was damaged. So let me know what you think about that. Also, it's going to kind of talk about like how much damage do you really want to take? Because uh, like if you get a lot of breaks or a lot of tendon damage and stuff, like even though it's just on your feet, like you still could potentially be suffering later on in your life. So um, ultimately you got to kind of consider like what's most important, like your ability to walk around with little to no pain, or if you want to be walking around with pain often, and sometimes like say like nowadays when most of the United States is like suffering from like a huge storm where it's below freezing in most of the country. You're probably gonna your joints and all the damages or the damaged areas, they have a higher chance of getting some pain flare up. So you gotta like take that into consideration, I think. All right, let's go and see if anybody's commenting. Feel free to comment. We got Wing Chun commenting. He says, regards from Guadalajara, Mexico. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I wonder how the weather is down there. I'm sure it's like perfect right now. Yeah, thank you very much for checking us out. And yeah, I wonder if you have a school down there, if you're studying catch wrestling down there. Um, yeah, just let us know. We'd love to be in contact. Jay Gray, greetings. Do you have any recommendations for training in or around Houston? Unfortunately, I do not know who's around there, who's around Houston. Um, it's, we can see because we did have one guy and who came to train with us who lives in Texas, and he seems to know better like who's out there in Texas. So maybe we can try to get in touch with him, and then let's see what we can do about that. Like, we can do some sort of like a web page or something where we list a bunch of the people who know catch wrestling and stuff. So hopefully you can train Jay. If not Jay, then feel free to join the the CWA Academy through our website. Um, but yeah, hopefully you can actually get the hands-on, like being in a class with an instructor and other students. That's always like a plus, right? If you have like a great coach who knows what he's doing, being one-on-one or in a group setting is ideal. All right, so hopefully the video showed up all right. Let's go and try to look through this again. So these are positions that you could find yourself in even in a catch wrestling match. So in modern day no-gi, right, it's called 50-50. So you can kind of see ways in which you can try to protect your own foot and ankle and all that. So that's what Nicky Rod does, right? So how does he do that? He covers his danger foot, right? So the foot that where Gordon Ryan has like kind of like that overhook on, um, that's the one that's in danger, right? And then Nicky Rod, he actually will start wiggling his foot to try to get his foot out from the danger, and then he'll cover it. So that's one way to protect yourself or protect your limbs. It's not completely foolproof because then there's counters to that, but this is like leg defense 101 here. So why don't we go ahead and check it out again? Kind of talk through it. All right, so you see here the danger foot is Gordon Ryan has that foot. That's the foot that's in danger. That's the leg that's in danger. You see, he Ryan pushes away that foot to see if he can isolate it, and then maybe go even for like an Achilles. But yeah, he's definitely not thinking that way. He was probably going for a heel hook, but then you see how Nicky Rod covers it, and Ryan was not so concerned about his foot and concerned about a toe hold because I think there is ultimately kind of like that whole idea that I mentioned earlier, where it's like, oh, you can take like either like an ankle break or even like tendons being torn and stuff in the foot because um, many times you might not even need a surgery to repair that. So then a lot of guys will, men and women competitors, they'll not take it seriously. So and Gordon Ryan still ended up winning. So um, it might be. I guess it was an okay strategy for him, but then maybe later on, he might really have these chronic injuries, adding up. So it's going to say for you as a competitor, it might be something you want to think about, like how much damage you want to take, or if you feel like it could potentially break. There's, I mean, there's this one thing. I think maybe in the new year we'll talk more about sports psychology and stuff, but you got to kind of weigh the idea where it's like, what is at stake if you lose or not, and if that's a real like consequence, like what are the real things that are at stake if you win or lose. I think even if Gordon Ryan were to lose at this stage, he'd still be a huge draw, like he would still be a headliner and all that. So um, a lot of these other headline um, grapplers, I mean, they have way more losses than Gordon Ryan. I mean, and they're still popular. There's still people. There's still people who others want to learn from. So it might not be too bad to tap out, right? like um, there's this one person that I heard talk. It wasn't for sports psychology, but they're making a joke like if you were to lose something, like lose at some game or whatever, then everyone is going to hate you, and your dog is going to run away from you. But it's just absurd, right? Your dog's still gonna love you, your family's still gonna love you and whatnot, and the sun's still gonna come out tomorrow, right? So you might want to consider what's the most important, whether you want to take that damage or like have to get a surgery or something like that, because then that will then take you out for a while if you have to get some surgery or whatnot, because then you have to do all that rehab and depending on how severe the damage is. So it can take you out for months, if not closer to a year or whatever. So um, think about it. Think about it, because that's kind of what I've been noticing too. I've been rolling a lot in nogi, and then you get some people where it's like they won't tap unless you like come close to really hurting them, and it's like that's just practice. It's not even like a match or anything like that. It's not a pro match or whatever. So um I don't know, just not into taking too much damage, because I've seen like people with more chronic pains and whatnot. So I don't know, like I don't think it's so worth it to put yourself at risk, right? So up to you, but think about like how much this win is worth, because you still might lose, even though someone does a toe hold on you or whatever, and it breaks your foot. You might not be able to pull through like Gordon Ryan did and get the win. So imagine like getting your foot broken and then still losing. So it's a real gamble. All right. So feel free to ask any questions. We don't necessarily have to keep talking about this subject, but it's something that I wanted to kind of bring up because it was like a pretty big deal. Anyway, but there's like a lot to learn there. So it's like you can learn some defense stuff, but then you can also learn the value of the toe holds. I think Nicky Rod probably kind of heard that break or felt the break and kind of let go because he kind of like scurried away really quick. Um, but then like Ryan didn't concede, um, so they had to keep going. I think it was really close to the end of the match, so then they had to do the EBI overtime, and that's where Ryan won. So um, there's still a lot of good stuff to learn from there. I mean, like yeah, Nicky Rod could have just held on to the foot and like even after it broke, continuing to break it further, making it look all crazy. Then that would have been a real highlight, right? If the foot was looking just nasty, right? Um, all right, so we got another comment here from uh, NPen. um, Let me know if I probably didn't pronounce that right. But anyway, let's see your comment here. So just recently started using toe holds. They do work. Yes, they do work. So one of the things you want to do, so like in the um, like sometimes yeah, you can just put a toe hold on like in the figure four position, just like the way Nicky Rod did. And one of the reasons why it was so effective at getting the break is that they were still basically in that 50-50 position. So that really kept Ryan in. It kept him from rolling around or being able to roll around. Because sometimes when you get that position, and if you don't have any of their hips like pinned down and they're able to move a lot, sometimes you can kind of spin out of the hold. So that's one way to try to get out. But if you can kind of secure their other leg or basically keep them from rolling, then you can just really get that you can submit them or really hurt them. Sometimes you can make it where you can get the pain to even go up into the knee, so where you can affect the knee ligaments and stuff. So yes, they very much do work. In catch wrestling, from the catch wrestling point of view, a lot of them were used, back in the day to roll someone over because they can be very painful. So then, in order to alleviate the pain, someone's going to try to roll, like kind of how I mentioned earlier. Like one way to kind of escape is to roll. So then, if you put someone in it, you get their belly down, and you want to pin them, you can grab their leg and you start applying the toe hold, uh, giving them that pain. Then they're going to want to try to move to alleviate that pain. And as they start rolling, if you can kind of set up your pin, then you can keep them on their back. Like once they start rolling, you can make sure that they flip over all the way, and then you get them stuck face up, and then you win. So you can kind of see like that. Like if you start trying to use them, that they're painful, which is also kind of like a different thing. So I always talk about like the knees in a lot of the heel hook stuff, where um, the knees not being as sensitive as like our ankles or our elbows and stuff. So that's why a lot of people will tap out for arm bars or for the toe hold stuff sooner than a knee, like a heel hook or any kind of attack to the knee tendons. Um, but either way, like it's still good to be tapping and because like if you were to get a lot of damage in those tendons in your knees, then yeah, you'll most often times need a surgery, so which you don't want because you're gonna have to take a lot of time off from training, and no one wants to do that. So yeah, we got independent confirmation from one of the viewers here that toe holds work, and they're very versatile. So yeah, like I said, you can use it to get someone to move, or you can use it as a submission, like as we saw in the video. Um, so hopefully they do maybe some kind of rematch or whatever, because Nicky Rod took the match on short notice because there was, like the opponent pulled out, Ryan's opponent pulled out, so I think it was like what the day before, or it was like really really short notice. So they should give Nicky Rod another chance to train for it and give it a go because that was good. He did really well on like no notice, right? Like a 1 day's notice or whatever. So great overall. Um, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about more things we have planned for the new year. So we should be having more time for like our because like you can join our YouTube channel as a member, and we have a lot of videos there behind the membership paywall thing. So, but next year we're gonna have more time to devote to that because we have a lot of videos there, and we've been putting special ones up for members only, right? And but we're gonna have more time to maybe even upload more for like that member section. Also, one of the things I want to talk about is that on our website in the CWA Academy, we have a chat room there, and so it should be getting new functionalities. I gotta like activate these things, so um, it should enable us to like have more like video up there that's like on the platform itself, and it should have all these really cool like more interactive things. So I'm trying to get that going over this winter break and see if that can't be ready for the new year. So we got a lot of things going on, a lot of like basically like a lot of new functionalities on our website and stuff. So um, we're gonna try to get all those like up and running and activated and whatnot. So like the our community there is can feel more like they can do more things, right? And or they can interact with each other more because um, like you know making it easy and making it more fun is always better. All right. So feel free to ask any questions or make any comments. Just let me know. A lot of people study leg locks. I mean, super popular right now for no gi. It's super popular. So take the time out to practice a lot. Wrestling, with regards to catch wrestling and leg locks. So again, like I said, toe holds have been a big part of catch wrestling. So um, with that being said, when you think about leg locks, um, they're like if you use your wrestling ability very well, then you'll find that you won't end up in a leg lock like you won't end up in a position where like someone's trying to leg lock you as often. And if you do, you can actually use a lot of your wrestling, like a lot of your hip movement to get out. So kind of like I mentioned earlier, if say like if Nicky Rod didn't if he wasn't in 50-50 and like had Gordon Ryan's hips somewhat contained, right? Uh, then Ryan could have just spun out and just been completely out with no chance of his leg getting broken. But if you can secure that, if you can secure their limbs, then chances are you're gonna get a nasty break. But but with that being said, if that's not secured, Ryan could just hip heist it or rolled out. So same idea, like with regards to a lot of different uh, leg lock attempts, whether it's like a lot of heel hooks or these other kinds of positions. Um, you can use your wrestling, you can use your hips, you can use a lot of these uh, like wrestling positions, like hip heisting or uh, just getting off of your back, like almost like a bridge and turn, with like a hip heist, um, using your Turk or these other kinds of positions, these other kinds of wrestling specific things. Um, you can use those to like power your way out of a lot of leg locks. Maybe we can do a video about that, or you can practice with us and at our during our class at Fight Science MMA. Uh, you know, but I know that leg locks are really popular right now. So, I think catch wrestling is even more relevant nowadays. And you can have all these different innovative ways to either keep someone from getting you into a leg lock, a leg entanglement, or you can have unique ways of setting them up. I think maybe we'll do some videos about that too, because uh, I see a lot of the way it's taught. Like a lot of the leg locks are taught. Like a lot of the leg lock entries are taught a certain way, But I think with if you there's a lot of like kind of wrestling specific entries that I think that we can kind of like show that aren't so mainstream, right? So, but would be like really effective because if people aren't using them, they'll be really effective if you're like the only one who knows them. So, that'd be great. Oh, Hike, good to see you here. Yeah, my cat says hello too. I'm glad you appreciate him. I think he wants something to eat because he's kind of nibbling on me. I think he wants his dinner. All right. And pen. Do you prefer to attack the toe at the sole of the foot or at the actual toes? I've been attacking at the toes. I've also been watching. I've been waiting to include wrist locks. I feel basics first, but let me know what you think. Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, that was like our special members only video that we put up. It was a really effective wrist lock, but um, let me see. Oh yeah. So the main question though, yeah, don't attack at the sole of the foot because that's it's almost like the thicker part, and you don't get as much leverage. Even though it's just like a short distance away from the toes, yeah, you got to go across. So imagine like this, you want to go across there, then you'll get better leverage. You see, like kind of envision like you get better leverage like this instead of here where there's not much motion here. But at the toes, you can get hopefully that was like a good example. So if you grab your own fingers, right, you can get a much more motion at the wrist than and if like say if you're resisting, you can move someone better at the fingers or at the toes in the case of the foot, right, than in the body of the foot. So yeah, you want to if you're going for the toe hold, go closer to the toes, and then you can push them in, get your figure four position, and then you can get a good lock there, right? But also see if you can. Oftentimes, yeah, if you follow through quickly and you can get a submission. But if you're going up against someone who's like a really experienced with leg locks, you're probably going to want to try to maybe even like anchor their other hip down or the same side hip down. Let me see. There was oh yeah, if you follow our Instagram, I think just this week we had a picture that I posted of one of the classes at one of the studios I taught at. It's just it was one where a guy was he had like the let's call it like the ashigarami position, like the way that Guru John Danaher calls it. Right, so he had that position, but then instead of just going for the like your regular heel hook, you can just push down and get a toe hold variation. And that just by pushing down, like getting the foot kind of, you push it down over your hip, you can basically use your hip as like the whole push pull figure four position without having to even get into figure four. And then say later, another variation on that would be you can totally just go for that figure four, or you can turn it into a heel hook or all these different things, which they're actually all considered like toe hold variations. So yeah, think about that because you don't necessarily have to only do a toe hold with that figure four position. There's a lot of variation to it. Like um, yeah, like you might even see like if you're in a like if someone say if you're in nogi or whatever, and like sometimes you can get into like uh, maybe someone's attempting to have their leg it'd probably be better to have someone here to show. But yeah, you can get that. Ultimately, the point is that you can get that figure four, that kind of push pull at the toes, where you're pushing the toes and pulling at the heel, um, anywhere. All right, so whether over your hip, sometimes even around over your head, right? So there's all these different things you can do, or you literally pull at the heel with your one hand, and then you push at the toes. But again, you have to just get the leverage for it. So I was thinking actually that could be one of the like videos that we can be putting on YouTube in the next few weeks, especially since we have this example from Nicky Rod, where he was able to secure the hip of Gordon Ryan, and then that in turn didn't allow him to move when Nicky Rod had the toe hold on. So that's one of the things that made it more effective. And so I think maybe we'll just do a breakdown video of that, and then we kind of show a few more different angles where you can get some toe hold variations. So hopefully you look out for that, and let me know, remind me, right? Because I definitely want to do a few of that because catch wrestling has all these things, and they're all really effective. So I figured that'd be a good like a good breakdown that we could make for you on just on on our YouTube channel. No members only kind of thing. Like, 'cause I think it's pretty interesting. But yeah, if there's something also that you're interested in learning about, like getting a catch wrestling perspective on, let me know. Wrist locks are really great too. Um, a lot of people actually also. I mean, that's the other thing. So I think right now the trend is the leg lock. So people's understanding of them is getting much better, much more sophisticated. Leg locks, I'm sorry, wrist locks and stuff. What you'll see is like people kind of doing some of the same thing, like the gooseneck thing or some other wrist ones. And oftentimes it's to get someone to move also, or get someone to react. You give them a little discomfort. Um, but I don't think it's as sophisticated as what you might see with leg locks. So maybe you can kind of talk about some of those, right? Also in some of our upcoming videos, because I'll use them a lot. And so not just the double wrist lock position, but actual wrist locks. Um, I use those a lot too in jujitsu against jujitsu, and it's really effective. You can even use it a lot against amateur wrestling because again, amateur wrestling, all these potentially dangerous holds or the submission holds, they're all illegal. So they put themselves into potentially dangerous positions because they're used to it being safe. So yeah, yeah. Basically it's okay to start anywhere. Just you got to know when to not hurt your partner, and you should be fine. And then add the fundamentals like the wrestling fundamentals. A lot of the the ground stuff we call mat wrestling. And learn a couple takedowns, and yeah, and then get everyone with your bread and butter, whether that be wrist locks or leg locks and stuff. Yeah, you should be pretty good. You'd become very formidable. All right. So I know it's like the holidays and whatnot. So yeah, less people active. So appreciate everyone who commented. Um, yeah. Uh, 'Cause yeah, even around LA, it's like a lot less busy right now. Um, so I appreciate everyone for watching and listening. If you want to help support us, help us do more events and stuff, become a member of our YouTube channel. There should be a button under like every video, or if you go to our channel itself, there should be like I think it's like a join a button that says join. Feel free to help us out because it goes to our events. So because they have all these different little fees and stuff that are involved. So your $2 or whatever actually can really help a lot. So that'd be great. And so you also have again the medium tier that you can get access to a bunch of our videos. Or if you want to actually learn catch wrestling and you're not around LA, or if you're not around my buddy on the East Coast, John Strickland, then you can learn on our CWA Academy. Or if you just want some one-off stuff, we also have that on our website. We have like the volume 1 of our pressure passing system, and that's the other thing that I want to film in the new year. The volume 2. A lot of people have been asking about self-defense stuff, so we can probably do some fundamentals of self-defense course up on there as well. Because I also have like the certification for self-defense through this program called Modern Street Combatives. Um, a lot of good stuff where you can combine a lot of wrestling or catch wrestling fundamentals to basically keep yourself safe. And if you're unarmed, because quite often that's the whole thing where it's like if something gets heated really quickly, and then all of a sudden someone wants to fight with you, and you might not have weapons on hand and stuff. So Probably kind of do like maybe a fundamentals thing, see how that goes. If you guys want some more advanced stuff like against knives and guns and stuff, then we can kind of work on that too. But that's all coming up in the new year. So, feel free to support us in any way. Because you can see how we had our event last month. It's through your support. It really helped out. So it's much appreciated. So, hopefully, we're helping you to elevate your grappling, and because I get a lot of good comments too from people who've tried um, like who've tried some of our courses or who've tried to do some of the techniques they saw on even on our YouTube channel and stuff. So um, people are getting some really good results, and so I appreciate hearing all the comments and stuff. So so it seems like we're helping you. So let's keep the ball rolling in the new year. Uh, so let's keep real wrestling alive, and then we'll see you next year.